How's it going? Modern Prepper here. I'm going to go over some stuff in the news and kind of talk about some stuff that's been going on today in particular. Today, Russia made some very bold threats. I think we should all be concerned about this. He basically said that the U.S. is basically pushing us into World War III with them, and he's not afraid to use nukes. And I'm sure you guys have already heard the story. If you haven't heard the story, I suggest you look it up. It's very important that you know about this. And it just so happens that, that this is not a good situation, guys. This whole thing with Ukraine and Russia. What's going on is Ukraine has been a large money laundering business for the U.S. for many, many years. The Biden family in particular has been using a certain power company that has been basically filtering the power through Russia to Ukraine and skimming money off the top. And we've also been doing a lot of other crazy business deals in Ukraine, namely some biolabs that this might get marked for misinformation. I don't really give a shit. But namely some biolabs that got busted. There's a lot of things going on with Ukraine. There's a lot of corruption going on both sides, okay? There are no good people in this war. Russia's not in the right, Ukraine's not in the right, nobody's in the right. The only people that are in the right in this war are the people. The people that live in Ukraine, the people that live in Russia that don't want to go to war, the people in Ukraine that don't want to go to war. Those are the only people that are actually on the right in here. And if you're a pro-Russia or pro-Ukraine, just forget about it, okay? Because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I don't claim to be some kind of war expert either. But I do know that just looking at this from a broad perspective on the outside, I think that Russia was hoping to just kind of sweep his victory over Ukraine, and it didn't happen. Okay, and obviously there was a huge victory by Ukraine recently too as well, where they took over a bunch of land of their own. And so what Russia did in response to that, he decided to annex 4 areas of Ukraine. And I'm going to pull up this stuff on my phone right now. Can't read it with these fucking glasses on. But anyways, he annexed 4 areas of Ukraine. And supposedly they say it's illegal, but I don't think that's totally illegal if he took the land over. But Ukraine was part of Russia at one point in time in history. It's only been since World War II, roughly, or even later than that, that Ukraine has broken off and become its separate own country. I think it was actually the fall of the USSR, or the fall, the fall of the communist Russia back in the 80s. If anybody remembers that, if they're old enough to remember the wall that came down. That was basically what started Ukraine becoming a country in itself, from what I understand. But now Russia wants that back because Ukraine is a giant powerhouse for money. It's power. They grow. It's supposed to be the breadbasket of the world in that given region. And so it produces a lot of food. There's a lot of natural resources in that area. There's a lot going on in Ukraine. That's the reason why Russia wants Ukraine. It's not necessarily all good. He doesn't want to just free that area from Nazis. It's not necessarily that either, but this is escalating to a certain point that we're not going to be able to back down from, and the U.S. is certainly escalating it. Now, I talked about in my last video, I talked about how the U.S. has blown up, and yes, they're responsible for this. There's no other way around this. The only people that seem to gain anything from this would be America, the ones that would bomb the pipeline stream 2. Would be America. The only people that would gain from this. Russia wouldn't. They already could turn it off. They already were. They already, we got you with the gas. That they were already doing that. So all this other nonsense about it, and to me, it's crazy to think that America would do that to kind of escalate things. And then what's even crazier about this whole thing is that I'm reading over here on the Gateway Pundit, Trump offers to step in and mediate a peace deal between Russia, Ukraine, and the U.S. So it's just funny that this other guy, this Democrat, comes in and we want to blame him for all these problems that are going on. He's starting all these wars, he's doing this, but Trump is our savior and Trump is our savior. And I just think that you guys are not understanding how the dialectic works here. If you don't understand that this is meant to be our savior. Trump is meant to be everybody's savior. That's what he's meant to do. But you guys are also forgetting that he signed off on those vaccines and cleared them with only 9 months after the pandemic officially started. Okay, if you don't think if you think that, oh, I'll just let that slide, you're not thinking critically, okay? You know, there is a mass similarities between the far right and the far left, okay? There is a common denominator between Antifa and Proud Boys, you know, between BLM and skinheads, I guess you could say, okay? And that they are both extremist, you know, and they're both doing this extreme. And so when you talk about a president, an ex-president like Trump, that, you know, is supposedly supposed to be the savior, you're forgetting that both left and right are still both the same sides of the coin. That you are meant to think that Trump is the savior, but he's not, okay? He's not the savior. He is still a part of the global elite, just like anybody else is. And pretty much everybody that's in power was put there by the global elite. And you think you're voting for somebody that is going to change things? It's never going to happen. The system is way too rigged for someone, an average Joe, even like me, to come in and to run for something. I wouldn't win any actual positions unless I became somehow popular amongst all my pundits, and that just isn't going to happen because I don't play ball. I don't kiss ass. I'm not a popular person, and I just don't do that. I think that if you look at all the roads and what direction they're headed in, I think that World War III is definitely on starvation, followed by a civil war, at the same time a World War III. Everything is going to be spread out. All of our resources are going to be spread out. The chain supply, the supply chain, everything is going to keep continuing to get broken down, and everything is going to continue to get more expensive as the dollar keeps getting weaker and weaker, as China and Russia continue to do things to get rid of the dollar as the world reserve currency, which is basically 50% of the world's currency right now, the U.S. dollar. So if the world decides at one point that the U.S. dollar is no longer the world reserve currency, we are screwed. If you've never seen hyperinflation, and a lot of people have this normalcy bias going on that kind of thing just couldn't happen to me. Just like I can't catch an STD, or just like an earthquake will never happen in my area, or I'll never be affected by Mother Earth. Well, look at Florida right now, okay? There are 30 people dead, at least, that they know of right now. By the way, my heart goes out to those people. I pray for you people right now. But this is my point. It's that you just never know what the future is going to hold for you. And it's always important to prepare the best that you can for what you think might happen, or for any given scenario, or for all given scenarios that might happen to you. That includes a lot of different things. It's not just food, water, bullets, band-aids, beans. It's a lot of things. It's also being sustainable. It's also having plans for escape. It's also having the knowledge and wisdom to know how to read maps and to navigate and to leave. You also got to be in shape well enough to be able to take yourself out to these places. You also have to be spiritually strong enough to know what needs to be done for you and your family to survive. This isn't going to be an easy cakewalk. This isn't going to be that you go to Walmart or McDonald's and get what you need for the hour or for the day or for the meal. You're not just going to go to McDonald's and be able to feed your family, okay? This is going to get serious. And I don't know how to stress this enough to people. And I've been trying to tell my family. I've been trying to tell everybody I fucking know. And you know what? Nobody is taking this serious. And if you just look at all the events that are going on between the escalation of World War III, the breakdown of the global supply chain, the breakdown of the dollar bill, the breakdown of the dollar bill as the world reserve currency, the everything that's just kind of adding up all together all at once. This is every escalation, every event all coming together all at once. This isn't something that is just organic. I mean, in some ways it is organic, but in a lot of ways this is all planned and orchestrated, and you guys need to understand that. And the more that you understand that, the more that you prepare, the better off you're going to be, and you're going to be able to ride out this nasty shit. You know, I don't know how else to really stress this, but I'm going to make this video short. You guys, please subscribe. I have a lot of good knowledge. I'm writing a book on this stuff. Thank you. Please subscribe.